Hello, in this video we're going to talk about Flipgrid, which is basically an asynchronous video-based discussion. So students can post back and forth using video to create a discussion, but they don't have to be in real time. So oftentimes when we think of video-based conversations, we think of webinars or web conferencing where you have to be live all at the same time. And this is not the case. You can create your own video and you can post back and forth just like a regular discussion feed, but you're using video. So the process is that the teacher creates a prompt. They can do so in the form of a video, in the form of an image, in the form of a text, and the students are able to reply to that prompt using their own video. Students can also reply to each other using videos as well. You can make these Flipgrids password protected so that only certain students are able to enter and use that particular grid. Teachers can also choose to leave video feedback to the students that only the individual student can see. They can also self-create rubrics to be able to use when grading the videos. Flipgrid is also web and app-based. The app is mainly for the students to be able to post back and forth in the Flipgrid using video. It is important that since this is video-based that the students have access to a camera. So if they're using a laptop or a Chromebook or something like that that has a built-in camera, they're good to go. If they're using a desktop that maybe doesn't have an integrated webcam or an external webcam, that's fine. They can use their mobile device, be it their smartphone, their tablet, anything like that. They download the Flipgrid app, which is free, put in the Flipgrid code, and they're able to use their camera that way. To begin, the educator would need to navigate to flipgrid.com and create a teacher account. So they'll choose sign up, it's free, and they can log in either using Google or their Microsoft account. After logging in, they would see any grids that they had already created. Keep in mind that grids and topics are a little bit different. Grids hold the topics almost like a folder. So in a way, a grid is a folder. Once you click in the folder, you can actually have multiple topics within that folder. I would recommend naming the grid perhaps the name of the course or the name of the subject area if you're going to have multiple discussions about that one particular grid. Or you can name the grid the standard of choice in that you might have several topics that are asking the students to discuss situations or scenarios related to that standard. So we'll create a new grid, and then I can choose the type of grid I would like to create. Most of the time in practice, you would want to create a school email domain, which basically means that the students have to have a common Microsoft or Google school email domain. That will make sure that only those students with that correct email domain will be able to post in your grid. You can also create an ID list so that the students would use their QR codes to scan for the grid. That is a little bit difficult and a little bit more work on the front end. Another way to do it is to share your grid with anyone, but then you can also make it password protected. So that's probably the most open way to share the grid, so I'll choose that to begin with. Then I would give my grid a name. And then this is going to be the direct link to your grid. Keep in mind that you'll also be able to get links directly to your topics that they'll be posting to. Then you can just pick a header, a personalization for your grid. So now we've created our grid. We choose, do we want the whole grid password protected or not? It might be a good idea to make it password protected so that students have to put in the password before they post in the grid, which will make sure that other people just don't randomly find it and post in it. Then we're able to launch our grid. So here is my grid. Now I can go ahead and post some topics in it. By default, it seems that within your grid, you will have two topics that are just auto-created. One seems to be an ideas area where just anybody in your grid that has access to your grid can post to for just general ideas. The other one is almost like an introduction type discussion where you can let's connect. If you don't want the students to be able to see those, you can just change them from active to inactive, and that's an important thing to note as well. For each topic, you can make it active, which means students can post in it, frozen, which means they can see it but they cannot post in it, and inactive basically makes it invisible. So you can change those settings if you want to. Also notice you can add co-pilots to your grid, which are like co-teachers. If you want somebody else to be kind of a moderator of the grid, you can add and give them access. So now let's make a new topic. And we'll give the topic the name. I would encourage you giving a quite descriptive name. You might even want to put the standard in there, or you could drop the standard in the description area so that later when you're reviewing it, you're able to know what standard it's associated with. So here's an example where I'm asking students to give different perspectives of their favorite story. Notice here that in the video response time, you can choose how long they have, what their timer is, how long they have to respond, from 15 seconds up to 5 minutes. Also, it is required that you kind of give a description. This is where you could put your prompt, basically, where you explain what the students are to do in their video. Next, you can choose what type of privacy it has. So you can have it to where the video threads are moderated, which means you have to review them as the teacher and approve them. If not, if this is turned off, then after the student posts, the other students in the grid can immediately see it. Next, you can choose if you want this topic to be active, frozen, or inactive. You can also choose the date it launches, so the date that students can begin posting, and when it freezes, so the last time they can post into the thread. Next, you can add resources to it. So in addition to the prompt that you typed here, you can add other things. You can record a video, upload a video that you've already recorded, add a video from YouTube or a video that's already been established, add an image, or do other things. I personally like to record a video, kind of giving them a little bit more than what the description includes, so that they're able to read the description and know what's being asked of them, but to also watch my own video, and maybe sometimes even in the video I give them an example so that they are able to do so that way. So you can choose to record a video. It'll pull your webcam, and then this is similar to how the students are actually going to create their own videos when they create their post. So you see the recording area, you just choose to record to begin. And so you might say something like, hello students, today we're going to create a post related to the perspectives of different book characters. I would like for you to pick your favorite book and tell the story from the perspective of another character, basically summarizing the main events, but telling it from their side of the story. Then you can choose next. You could review the video, and then it asks you to take a selfie. So just smile big for the camera. And then you can also include any stickers that you want just to kind of make it fun. And again, students can do this when they're posting their own video as well. Now we submit it, and it has been added. So now the students are able to see the title, the description, and the video that we've created for them. Also know that in addition, you can include up to 9 external links, including all these different types, to help students in posting their discussion. So it kind of just depends on how involved your video discussion is going to be. Then you can choose different features that you would allow for in your videos. So you can allow students to like each other's video if you want to have that turned on. You can display the number of views a video has received. I think that's kind of important to kind of know how many have watched the video. You can allow students to add a title to their video, which I will in this case because perhaps I want them to include the name of the story that they're talking about in their title to kind of give us an idea. Also, this one's very important to have turned on or off depending on what you want, to allow students to reply to each other's video. In this case, I definitely want them to be able to reply back and give their classmates feedback. You can choose if you want this a public, private video as well. Next, you can choose, especially if you're going to grade this topic, how you want to give feedback. So a basic feedback is just grading on their performance and ideas, but you can customize feedback. So in this case, I created one for summarize and perspective, just because that's the nature of what my topic is, but you can always add a criteria, add in a title, a description, and then the amount of points for each so that you're able to grade it as you watch their video. Now I choose to create a topic. It's been created. I can give the students the link here. This is the access code that they'll need to be able to access my grid. Notice that it's at the end of the URL as well. So I'll copy that and I'll send that to my students. Notice here when viewing your topic, you can you see your description, you can watch your video, you can also edit different parts of the topic if you need to. Sharing the topic gives you that link again to send to your students. And then down here at the bottom, if somebody had responded to the video, this is where it would be located. And again, you can always go back to your grids and see your different grids. I have my reading class and I have one topic in there. And again, remember you can add multiple topics per grid. So maybe I have a reading class and I have this one about perspectives. I could add another one about grammar. I could add another one about a particular book. You can add multiple topics to your grid. So now let's log in as a student and post to this grid. Students can post to the Flipgrid either using their desktop, using the web version, or of course they can download the Flipgrid app and post via their smart device. So they would go to flipgrid.com, they would put in that Flipgrid access code that you had provided them. It is located on the back of the URL that you were given just a minute ago. So this is the particular code for my Flipgrid. From there, I'm able to see the topic, I'm able to see the grid, I'm able to see the topic, I'm able to click into the topic, I'm able to watch that video that my teacher posted for me, and I'm able to go ahead and create my recording. So I can choose this. It'll ask me to log in either with my Google or Microsoft account, so students do kind of have to create or at least have an email of some capacity, a Google email or a Microsoft email to be able to post. And then they are able to create their recording. So notice that in the top right corner, it tells them how long they have to record. And then again, in this video, I would be talking about the book I picked, and I would be talking about how there's different perspectives and what perspectives are being used. And I would tell the story from another perspective as the directions said. So then when I'm finished, I would stop recording. I'm able to review my recording as a student. And then I go to next. Notice I can trim it. I could trim it or give it a title if I wanted to. And then I just snap a selfie. Notice that there are some options here if you wanted to use. But now we'll just snap my selfie. And I can again add images if I like. So now this is my teacher prompt, and then down below we have our first student prompt there. So again, the next student would come in and tap a recording and make their own, or if they wanted to reply to this student, they would click on theirs. They would view their video, which again is the student video, and then they could reply to that video. And they might say something along the lines of, hey, great job on your video of telling us the different perspective of about this specific story. Have you thought about how this perspective would be different if you looked at this character versus this character, or whatever qualifications you have them doing with their reply post? So again, this is a reply to the student because I allowed the students to be able to reply to each other. So we go to next, snap our selfie, do our icon if we want to, and ta-da. So now we see that this student posted their original post, and we see that somebody has replied to them. The replies show up as tiny little circles across here. So I can click on this. I can watch their original post, and then I can watch the student that replied to them post. Ideally, these would be different students. So that's how you can go about posting and replying. Again, it works very much like a video thread, but it's doing so, it's very much like a discussion, but it's doing so via video. So now let's log back in as the teacher so we can review what it looks like on the teacher side after people have posted. So as the teacher, I'm logged back into my Flipgrid account. Notice that here it gives you a total of how many hours and minutes people have spent in your grids, just an idea of that. Then I can come here into my class, and I can see that 2 videos have been made and 4 views of videos. I'm then able to click into these videos, and I'm given a list of the original video as well as the reply. This little icon means that this person replied to that person. Then I just click on their video. And just like a student, I can leave a reply as a teacher. I can also leave feedback this way. What's interesting is I can leave what's called a vibe, which is something that it will display at the very top of their video. I personally include things like great posts just so that other students will know maybe to go and watch the ones that have vibes on them as inspiration because they know that I've reviewed them and I approve of them. So I can give some feedback here. Notice it pulls my grading rubric that I created initially. So maybe this student gets a 4 for ideas and a 5 for performance or whatever I've used for their particular grading rubric there. I can also leave comments here. Now I can email that feedback to the student because again they had to log in via their email, so I can choose to email it to the student so that they get an email showing their grading rubric and my feedbacks. Or I can copy the feedback link and send that student this feedback link so that they are able to go and watch and see my feedback. In addition, to take it one step further, you can actually add a private video to this student for feedback. So in addition to leaving text comments, you could click here and add a video. So just like normal, make a video saying great job on your post. These are some things you need to think about in the future. This is where you went right or wrong or what have you. And now the student has a feedback video, rubrics, and comments. And again, you can email it to the student or you can copy the feedback link to be sent to them. Now, very important, this feedback right here in this area is private. So only the student sees that feedback via the link that you send that gets sent to them in the email. Feedback here, a reply here, is just like a regular reply to everybody else. So you can do that, and when you do the reply to everyone else, everybody else can see it. Notice that there's also a place to share to where you can share this particular video, only this video with the class, or you can even share it with families. It makes it view only so they can't reply or anything, but they can actually just watch the video. If there's a particularly great one that was created that you want to share with your students, you can do so that way. Notice that after you do your grading, you'll see the feedback here. And again, something that I failed to review earlier is another way that you can share the topic. You can always come here to share topic, and it will give you the link. But if you use Google Classroom or Remind, you can actually choose that. It will auto log into your Google Classroom. You choose the section of your Google Classroom, and you can choose to make this Flipgrid as part of an announcement, as part of an assignment, or anything of that nature. You can have it auto create an assignment for you to do the Flipgrid. You can add points to it, due dates, everything, and it will auto create that Flipgrid assignment within your Google Classroom class. You don't have to manually move the link over. In addition to the specific topics, if you're interested in just seeing your regular Flipgrid activity, you can come to the activity feed and you'll see how many grids you created, how many topics have been created for that you've created, how many videos you've created, how many videos this week you've created, as well as how many video views have occurred in your grid. You can also see the usage rate of when most people were posting to your different grids. You can also look at specific grids or specific topics within your grid to see when most people are posting. Another neat feature is the mixed tapes. And those are kind of cool. It's kind of like highlighting your best videos that have been created for different topics and grids. So you can do a new mixed tape. And perhaps I could go through, and I had several classes that did this perspective assignment. And I want to go through and from multiple topics, I want to pick the best ones. You can make it password protected if you like. So we'll create this. And now I can just go back to my grids. And maybe I had multiple grids, maybe I had multiple topics, maybe multiple classes that used the same assignment. But I can come here and beside, maybe this one was one I really want to highlight. It was a great post. Under actions, I can choose to add to my mixed tape. And I can choose what mixtape I want to add it to. And basically I come in and cherry pick the different videos that I want to add to this mixtape. And again, it's kind of like highlighting the best ones so that people can come and view my mixtape. And as you watch it, you would see an auto rolling of all of the main ones that we've kind of cherry picked. Also, the last feature of interest is if a student has created a really great post based upon a topic that you've created, you can come over here to Actions and you can make it a Spark response. And basically, what it does is it creates a whole new topic with this video as kind of the spark or the spearhead. So, say for example, that in this perspective, this student gave a really good perspective of one of the villains in the story. I could create a spark here and let that be the spark and say, okay, guys, now I want everybody to go in and pick their favorite story with a villain and tell it from the villain side of things. So, again, this is kind of sparking the video to make a whole new topic at this point. So, I'm making a spark for this person. I can rename it if I want to. And again, you go through the process of making an entirely new topic, but it's almost like a sub thread now. So, it's a part of already thread, and the additional resource is that original thread that that student created that we're sparking from. So again, a way to kind of make a detailed Flipgrid going through multiple ways, and is allowing the student's video to kind of be the spear point for the post. Also, just in case you're interested in knowing, this is what the images look like of the student using the app. So once they download the Flipgrid app, they'll be asked to put in the access code that will be given to them from the teachers. And then this is how they're able to view the grid and the topic and the teacher video that was left as the prompt. And then they're able to make a new video just like on this screen that shows them creating the video, recording it through their phone or device, and then they're able to add stickers to it as well. So again, the same process of making a post on the web is the same that they would go through making a post on their smart device. And that is a basic summary of how to use Flipgrid.